This FBI wanted poster obtained April 25, 2018 shows drawings of a suspect known as the Golden State Killer. A notorious decades-old mystery over the identity of the Golden State Killer, believed to have carried out dozens of rapes and multiple murders in California in the 1970s and 1980s, may finally be solved. A suspect has reportedly been arrested. Joseph James DeAngelo, 72, is being held in the Sacramento County Jail on 2 counts of murder, the Sacramento Bee reported on April 25, 2018. According to local television stations, DeAngelo was once a policeman. The Golden State Killer, also known as the East Area Rapist and Original Night Stalker, is suspected of carrying out at least 12 murders and 45 rapes in California between 1976 and 1986, according to the FBI. Handout, AFP, Getty Images. Joseph James DeAngelo stands in a Sacramento, California, jail court on Tuesday, May 29, 2018, as a judge weighed how much information to release about the arrest of the former police officer accused of being the Golden State Killer. He is suspected in at least a dozen killings and roughly 50 rapes in the 1970s and 80s. Paul Kadocki Jr., the Sacramento Bee via AP, Pool. Joseph James DeAngelo stands with his attorney Joe Kress in a Sacramento courtroom on Tuesday as a judge weighed how much information to release about the arrest of the former police officer accused of being the Golden State Killer. He is suspected in at least a dozen killings and roughly 50 rapes in the 1970s and 80s. Paul Kadocki Jr., the Sacramento Bee via AP, Pool. Sound. The gallery will resume in seconds. Melanie Barba holds a photo of Sherry Domingo and her boyfriend Gregory Sanchez, who were killed in 1981, as she sits in the courtroom during the arraignment of Joseph James DeAngelo, the suspected Golden State Killer, on April 27, 2018 in Sacramento, California. Photo by Justin Sullivan, Getty Images. Bruce Harrington, whose brother and sister-in-law were allegedly killed in Dana Point, California by the East Area Rapist, speaks during a news conference on April 25, 2018 in Sacramento, California. Sacramento District Attorney Anne-Marie Schubert was joined by law enforcement officials from across California to announce the arrest of 72-year-old Joseph James DeAngelo, who is believed to be the East Area Rapist, also known as the Golden State Killer. Photo by Justin Sullivan, Getty Images. Between 1976 and 1986, the violent and elusive individual known as the East Area Rapist and later as the Original Night Stalker and the Golden State Killer, committed 12 homicides, 45 rapes, and more than 120 residential burglaries in multiple California communities. Among the evidence collected in the cold case are fingerprints lifted from crime scenes, shoe treads, and DNA. Although there were no tests for DNA matching at the time of the crimes, investigators can now use that technology to rule out suspects and to verify the killer's identity. Photo courtesy FBI. Between 1976 and 1986, the violent and elusive individual known as the East Area Rapist and later as the Original Night Stalker and the Golden State Killer, committed 12 homicides, 45 rapes, and more than 120 residential burglaries in multiple California communities. Shown here is evidence at the scene of one of the East Area Rapist's attacks. Photo courtesy FBI. Between 1976 and 1986, the violent and elusive individual known as the East Area Rapist and later as the Original Night Stalker and the Golden State Killer, committed 12 homicides, 45 rapes, and more than 120 residential burglaries in multiple California communities. He often wore ski masks like the ones shown here in evidence at the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department. Photo courtesy FBI. This FBI wanted poster obtained April 25, 2018 shows drawings of a suspect known as the Golden State Killer. A notorious decades-old mystery over the identity of the Golden State Killer, believed to have carried out dozens of rapes and multiple murders in California in the 1970s and 1980s, may finally be solved. A suspect has reportedly been arrested. Joseph James D'Angelo, 72, is being held in the Sacramento County Jail on 2 counts of murder, the Sacramento Bee reported on April 25, 2018. According to local television stations, D'Angelo was once a policeman. The Golden State Killer, also known as the East Area Rapist, and original Night Stalker, is suspected of carrying out at least 12 murders and 45 rapes in California between 1976 and 1986, according to the FBI. Handout, AFP, Getty Images. Joseph James D'Angelo stands in a Sacramento, California, jail court on Tuesday, May 29, 2018, as a judge weighed how much information to release about the arrest of the former police officer accused of being the Golden State Killer. He is suspected in at least a dozen killings and roughly 50 rapes in the 1970s and 80s. Paul Kadocki Jr., the Sacramento Bee via AP, Pool. Next show caption 1 of 8. Joseph James D'Angelo stands in a Sacramento, California, jail court on Tuesday, May 29, 2018, as a judge weighed how much information to release about the arrest of the former police officer accused of being the Golden State Killer. He is suspected in at least a dozen killings and roughly 50 rapes in the 1970s and 80s. Paul Kadocki Jr., the Sacramento Bee via AP, Pool. Expand Sacramento's. As Joseph James D'Angelo shopped inside a Roseville Hobby Lobby store in April, detectives secretly swabbed his driver's side door handle, collecting a DNA sample that matched the genetic makeup of the notorious Golden State Killer. Days later, investigators waited for the 72-year-old grandfather and former Auburn cop to wheel his garbage bin out to the curb of his Citrus Heights home and on April 23 plucked out a used tissue, which also linked D'Angelo to the murder and rape rampages from the 1970s to 80s that crisscrossed California, investigators said. The tissue DNA from D'Angelo's garbage was at least 47.5 septillion times more likely to be linked to the DNA profile of the Golden State Killer than an unrelated person, according to the documents unsealed by Sacramento County Superior Court Judge Michael Sweet. Investigators believe D'Angelo committed at least 13 homicides, more than 50 rapes, and hundreds of sexually motivated burglaries, prowling events and hang-up, lewd phone calls throughout California in the 1970s and 80s, according to nearly 200 pages of court records released Friday. Though heavily redacted, the records tell the story of how police linked hundreds of crimes, often sexually motivated, across the state to the notorious serial killer, rapist, and burglar, before ultimately identifying D'Angelo as a suspect through DNA and arresting him on April 24. The records include details of burglaries in Southern California committed by the Visalia ransacker, a series of sexual assaults in Contra Costa County, and killings in Santa Barbara, Sacramento, and Orange counties. While much of the rape details remain blacked out, the court records show the horrific and sadistic nature of the crimes during which victims were often taunted and brutalized. The East Area Rapist, another moniker that had been assigned to the suspect sought by police, is linked to a dozen Bay Area sexual assaults in Contra Costa, Alameda and Santa Clara counties, but the newly released records only focus on the Contra Costa crimes and how DNA from those rapes were used to tie the suspect to murders around the state. Sacramento Sheriff Detective Robert Peters, who authored the search warrant probable cause statement, did not indicate why he believes D'Angelo came to the Bay Area, but indicated all the Contra Costa rapes happened within a few minutes driving distance of Interstate 680. He wrote that hundreds of suspects had been contacted over the years for those crimes, but all the men had been eliminated. Authorities tied some of the crimes through DNA, and others to similar behavior in the perpetrator, such as hopping fences to escape, always on foot, not with a car. The documents say that the East Area Rapist would make lewd calls or call and hang up in order to gain intelligence on his victims. Writing the calls were a unique indicator that the rapist was targeting a victim. "Excuse me, I'm trespassing," the bold suspect would mutter after breaking into victims' homes, according to investigators. Peters said D'Angelo looked similar to composite sketches of the attacker. The document requesting the search warrant lists 9 pages of trophies detectives believe D'Angelo took from his victims, including wedding rings, handbags, a poker chip, clothes, silver dollars and other items. The records were released after media companies, including the Bay Area News Group, filed a motion to unseal the records. Judge Michael Sweet spent this week going line by line through the records to determine what should be blacked out before releasing the documents. Sweet read his decision in court Friday, saying he kept some details of D'Angelo's other alleged crimes sealed because wholesale public dissemination at this time may result in inaccurate or inadmissible information to reach potential jurors. This court recognized a qualified First Amendment right to recognize public records and documents. However, the court also has a duty to protect the right of the accused to a fair trial, Sweet said. Sweet said he would keep portions of the warrants under seal that speculate how D'Angelo may have committed certain other crimes for which he has not been charged, but investigators believe he may be responsible for. Prosecutors have already announced that some alleged sexual assaults believed committed by D'Angelo may not be charged due to expired statute of limitations. The judge also ruled that the list of property seized from D'Angelo's Citrus Heights home last month would remain sealed. The search warrant asked to seize trace evidence of blood, skin and other physical evidence of potential victims, firearms, ammunition, bindings, such as rope or shoelaces, computers or other electronic devices, stolen items taken from victims of East Area rapist, locked safes, journals or diaries during the years of the crimes. It also asked to search his underwear for weapons, collect DNA from him and photograph his penis. The new records indicate why authorities believe D'Angelo started his decades of crime as the Visalia ransacker. Visalia was less than 20 minutes away from D'Angelo's residence while he worked as an Exeter police officer. The Kings County Public Safety Academy, where D'Angelo spent hundreds of hours of training, was held on College of the Sequoias campus, the epicenter for the ransacker crimes, investigators wrote in the records. A college professor was murdered in September 1975 following an attempted abduction of his daughter in the surrounding neighborhood, which was connected by drainage canals. A Visalia cop almost stopped the whole rampage. On December 10, 1975, the Visalia officer waited in a garage they suspected might be targeted and spotted a prowler peeping through a window. The suspect removed his ski mask and begged the cop not to hurt him, in a juvenile and effeminate voice, according to records. With one hand over his head and the other in his pocket, the ransacker suddenly pulled a gun and fired a round, striking the cop's flashlight. He escaped by jumping a fence. Among the crimes linked to D'Angelo was a February 1977 non-fatal shooting of an 18-year-old man, whose name is redacted. The man was shot in the abdomen while attempting to follow a prowler who'd been seen in the backyard. Get top headlines in your inbox every afternoon. Get the free PM Report newsletter. Sign up. D'Angelo is due to appear in court next July 12 at 1:35, when he will appear again before Judge Sweet. You might also like what was Joe Low thinking when he slammed Singapore. Business Times car flips over in CTE tunnel, Merchant Road entrance. Singapore, video 3 reasons Singaporeans should apply for HSBC's, HSBC. Bank. This is why every Singaporean should be investing in business.finance. Watch 365.com why you should apply for the HSBC Advance Credit Card. HSBC Bank. Where do the richest Americans live? Mansion. Global Cavaliers. Jr. Smith buried by tweets, memes and wake. MercuryNews.com. Hansen. Why investigative media missed Obama's. MercuryNews.com. As a teen, he killed a little girl in a casino. Now he. MercuryNews.com. Recommended by